there. We're going to do episode 3 on Lisa's boat. Because as you can hear, there's lake sounds behind us. Landscaper, not mine. Spiders are coming to attack us on the boat. But yeah, so I'll just start. Is that okay?
Go right ahead.
Okay. So we've done episode 1 is our why, so of Lisa and Kim Explore, and episode 2 was our inspiration, which was an homage to Rick Steves. And we thought episode 3, a great one would be, a good foundational one would be our friendship. Right?
Cheers.
Cheers. I know, we should have had a drink. We don't have a drink. But, so we want to start, I think that puts a good foundation for anything else that we do. Our why, our inspiration, and our friendship.
That's true. I think that explains the longevity of our interest, our commitment, the fact that we can keep going and keep doing it without the three cornerstones.
Yeah.
It just doesn't
work.
It's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable because we've all traveled with people that aren't friends, and we say, I will never travel with that person again.
Yes, and every trip you can go back and think of like, oh yeah, like the Jersey lady, yeah, she was a, or oh yeah, like that trip there was the really ugly American, and
oh yeah, like when we're on bus tours or something like yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So let's go all the way back. How do you know me?
How do I know you?
Yeah.
I think it would probably be 9th grade in band.
Yes.
Marching band, and then really from a mutual friend of ours that I met in junior high, but you had known in elementary when she went there, so that's Patty. And Patty, so that connected you and her and us and that, like that, the Jefferson group with the Washington group.
That's right. And so those of you that don't know, those are junior highs. But yeah,
or middle schools as they're now called, right?
I know, but it was junior high then because we were old. So yeah, so we know each other from high school, really. And we were in casual friend groups that were similar.
Yes.
That's how I might describe that.
Yeah, I think band was the real connector because, I mean...
We were in classes together, too.
Yeah.
Academically.
Yes. That's a little hazier for me than...
Well, we were.
Than band. Yeah,
yes,
than band.
Yes, we had a very intense, involved band experience.
Marching
yes,
band,
it was very accomplished. So yeah, that was our big thing. But really, our
so technically, that was our first traveling together.
Totally was. Oh my God,
that's right.
Totally was. We traveled to Macy's Day Parade.
Macy's was before Rose Bowl Parade, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade was our first trip together.
On a bus. Yes, and then we traveled to California together for the Rose Bowl Parade.
Yep.
Not on a bus, but on a plane. But yes, that could be official.
Yeah.
We were not roommates.
No.
But
I wasn't as cool as Kim. Let's just put it out there. So Kim always had a boyfriend, and hot, good-looking boyfriends, and so that just wasn't, my thing. Or I wanted it to be, but it just wasn't my thing. So you spent a lot of time in those crowds too, whereas
is that what that is?
We weren't. Yeah. Yeah. And they were older.
Sounds weird, but okay. But really, I think our adult friendship blossomed. We have both been married for a very long time.
30 years this September for me.
And I think it's 28.
You brought him to our wedding, so.
I'd only known him for a couple of months at that point.
So you've known him for 30 years then?
Yes, I have known him for 30 years. As of this weekend, by the way. Tomorrow. Tomorrow is the first time I met him. Tomorrow is 30 years. So anyway, we have long-standing husbands that we keep around, which we would identify as best friends also. Which actually makes our relationship work better, is we have amazing husbands who are our best friends, and then we're able to foster other friendships because we have such fabulous husbands.
Yeah, they're, like for me, Jay's just really a rock, right? Like he's dependable. There's certain things I depend upon him for, technology being one.
Yeah.
But just even at the end, if we're on a trip together, just going back to the room together and rehashing the day and going over it. I mean, we have similarities, and I don't think he would travel as much if I wasn't in his life.
He would not.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Even though he travels for work, he would not travel as much.
And then I'd be why he wouldn't travel as much.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
But Matt and I, we kind of call it cross-pollination, because Matt and I are probably more similar, and then Kim and Jay are very similar too. So
That's very true.
it's very true. So I can't say, and Matt would have traveled no matter what.
Yes.
And
he would have.
he would totally have traveled.
Yeah.
I think if Matt could have had any career that he wanted, it might be a park ranger. A backpack and a park ranger, right?
Sandals. I don't know. Right. But so that brings us to our adult friendship. Really, both of our husbands have very productive corporate careers, and it took us to many places in the United States and in the world, because she lived in Australia too. But one of our very young relocations was to New Jersey. And I was kind of like feeling a little lonely. And I'm like, I know Lisa and Jay are up in, where did you live again?
Hoboken?
Well, not Hoboken.
No,
when you lived in
Montclair, Verona.
yeah, Montclair, and we were down in good God, maybe
Red
Tin Falls at that point.
Tin Falls, not Red Bank.
Yeah, and on the Garden State Parkway. And I was like, let's reach out to them because I need some, and that's really kind of how that restarted again.
That's how you and I probably connected the most.
Yeah.
Because it was, it was just you and I at that point, and then Matt and Jay at that point.
Yeah.
And so from there, our first trip was Ireland.
It was our first
Our
trip.
first international trip, we'll call it
Yeah,
that. The first
our first-
international trip was Ireland.
Yeah, 1996.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it really goes back to we have a very tight group of friends that still exist from high school, and which is pretty shocking.
Yeah,
for
we
most people.
travel with them. We travel as girl groups, like girls' weekends or girls' trips. We travel in couples. We all just get along, which
Yep.
is really
Husbands travel.
yeah.
by
Husbands
themselves.
travel by themselves. That's Jay and
Girls
Matt
travel.
just got back from Scotland with your brother.
Yep.
And uncle and cousin, and so
Yeah.
the friendship is a foundation of travel that we've all kind of expanded upon. I would say, because with the travel goes some of the mechanics with it, right? The planning. And Kim and I are very good at planning, and we enjoy the planning part of it. It's my favorite part of a trip, actually. Probably if you get right down to it.
I would say that yes, although you do love good execution
Yeah.
of a
well,
day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like when we go through a day, you would enjoy that.
Yeah. I like the fulfillment of like just the research
The
and stuff.
check off, the finding.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like without friendship, like you can travel with strangers. You can.
Yeah.
You can and have a good time. Like find someone on a cruise, find someone in all inclusive.
Yeah, Matt and Michelle are really good at that. Our other friends, Matt and Michelle, they can go on a cruise and hang out with a whole new couple and come back with friends. And but it's interesting because even like Sherry and Jim, when they were traveling down to Isla Mujeres, they're I don't know if I'm saying that right, Mexico.
Oh, okay.
They kept going back, and they built this huge friendship group of friends that was there in Mexico, and they went to Mexico.
Mutual love of a location.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I mean, like that's kind of cool. Even when we were just in London, those people that we were standing next to, that was my favorite part
God.
of the whole experience.
Can I
of the
tell you? I
coronation.
tell so many people the friends that we made, and then they're like, "Who were they?" We're like, "I don't know. I don't even know their names."
Well, now
But they were delightful.
They
We spent
dated.
6 hours.
They were dating. They
Yeah.
were like second.
Super cute.
Second relationships, and they were dating, and they weren't going to get married, but they lived maybe like what'd she say, an hour and a half
I took the tube
north.
in or the
Yeah,
train.
and so you heard a little bit about their life, but
But I think that brings up a really good point. Is friendships are sometimes situational, sometimes work, sometimes short term. But this is a long term friendship.
yes,
You kind of are like my ride and die.
we are now. That's what I was when I was trying to prepare for this segment here, which obviously we don't do a whole lot of preparation.
No,
work
it's
on.
kind of like why we're so
Just
fun.
talking. But when we first started out, I can remember there was a girls' trip to New York, and like we irritated the shit out of each other.
Yes,
But a lot
we
of that is
I
about
believe
control.
I left on the corner of one street and got in a taxi at one point.
Yeah, and a lot of that is control or based.
We
too,
have
'cause we both-
similar personalities.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
a little windy right now, so I'm just holding the.
Oh, okay.
It's shaking.
I
back
didn't
and
know if
forth.
you could see the duck family that went by.
No, I know.
So, like, obviously, and there's good days and there's bad days, and
Yeah.
everybody has personalities, and
Yeah.
when we were traveling with kids, then you throw the kids' personalities into it, and
Someday, I think what we should do is put a list of questions. Speaking of that, put a list of questions together and make at least just our 3 kids do one for us.
oh, yeah, that'd be
Wouldn't
cool.
it be so fun?
That would be cool.
Because they've grown up together.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
that would be very interesting, their perceptions of travel.
Well, especially maybe
with
we should do
us.
that after Tristan and Jared get back from Italy.
Yes.
Because as a friendship,
Uh-huh.
our friendship, our kids were always together and grew up together
Travel together.
and traveled together.
And they're not the same age. There's 4 years in between the boys. So that's a big, so they didn't hang out in high school together or
no,
anything like that.
completely different high schools. So yeah.
But you know what they both know? Deep down in their heart, they know they both travel the same.
Yes.
And it's actually super important to both of them because Jared's traveled with other people.
And it hasn't quite been the same. Like
Yeah.
he ends up being the planner, and he actually, when he travels with other people, he appreciates more. And Cassie said the same thing. She ends up being kind of a tour guide.
Yep, Cassie's my oldest daughter. Yep.
Yeah. So there's a lot of the elements that we have passed on from because of the friendship.
Heck yeah.
But you mentioned too, like situational friends. But like that same woman that I was that comes to mind, that was the Jersey woman who was a bit of a, she had the two ginormous suitcases and she couldn't lift them herself into the train.
She couldn't believe no one was going to porter her bags.
Yeah. So
on the train.
like there's just moments where you look and you're like, but then she's also the same person who on that same trip when Jared needed ear medicine because he had an ear infection, her and her husband came through for us. So situational friends,
Moment. Small moment.
All right. And then work friends. I mean, I've traveled with people that for work
I
that
have traveled with people from work.
and it ends up being a blast sometimes. And you get to really know people.
Actually, that brings up a super good point. So I just was at a lecture on friendship. This is really why we're doing this, because that's another topic of Lisa and mine, is that we are passionate lifelong learners.
Mm-hmm.
Passionate. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
shockingly so.
Yeah. Me a lot through the travel and reading.
Yeah.
We're like you're a podcast, documentary kind of person,
Yes.
and I'm more of a let's pick up a book kind of person. But
Yes. Mm-hmm. But that actually really helps our friendship stay fresh.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And we're always kind of like, did you look at this? Did you read this? Did you watch this? You got to see this.
Yeah. She's always got great things to watch and to expand the knowledge base on.
Yeah, but then we go
Like
investigate and find it.
I gotta go watch, or I gotta go get this book now, Salt.
I know, I wish I knew
History
the
of
author,
Salt.
but I don't. But it is literally a book on
found
the
it.
history of salt.
Goodreads is my
And,
friend.
yeah, but that's just the thing. It's kept our friendship fresh for longer periods of time.
Yeah. And as far as how the friendship works with how we travel, I mean, it's sort of just like somebody gets a bug in their butt and
It is.
or their bonnet. I don't know what
Yeah.
the right saying is, but
Yeah.
bee in their bonnet, and then the interest when we're like, yeah, sure. Now some of it's also because I'm not going to miss out on that.
No,
Like
I
that,
can't
that
miss
fear
out.
of missing out. That's a strong Yagi trait. So
It is a fear of missing out. But that goes also to where you just talked about how our little group of friends isn't our only friends. I have friends, like I went to lunch this morning with 2 other friends from high school. I actually didn't tell you that. I came from lunch with Laura Hayes and Debbie Nelson.
oh, that's nice.
And someone else named Maria. But that's that thing, like you can have lots of friends for lots of different situations, and it is actually like when you have a good secure friendship, it doesn't, like, it sounds silly, but even people at 50, however many years old we are,
Yeah.
people still can be insecure about things. In a really good friendship, it doesn't really have that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And I think we also put the values on, let's talk about values, right? I mean, values, trust. We value a lot of the same things in humanity and life and that
Family,
kind of connection.
our friends.
Yeah.
And
so what we're looking for in travel is very similar too.
yes.
So it's not just, like you're going to go to Paris and if it's the first time there, you're going to go see the Eiffel Tower, right? But if it's our third time there, we're going to go on a food tour and, it's kind of like how we do New York City now because we've been there so much.
yes.
But I don't know. I mean, it's like we're not just crossing off the big things,
no.
which are important. It's
The big
important to
things
see the
are-
big things.
Yeah, it is important to see the big things.
But, the other things that we're interested in, we find a way to work into the travel.
Agreed.
Like when I
Yes.
made you do the mosaic art in Rome, that glass art.
Yes.
Or when we did perfume in Grasse.
Yes. Just finished mine the other day. I got to order some more.
I know, we were talking about how we had to get a joint order in.
We do need to do a joint order. Yes, so yes, we do love good experiences. That is part of what we do love. But you know what? That's what's also great. Like we have a larger group of friends, which we talked about, that we hang out with, and they have different interests, and they're finally confident enough to do their own interest. Yeah, like the last time we went to New York, that was really awesome. Like they were like, we want to shop more. and I was like, I would like to stick a fork directly in my eye if I go to one more store and shop.
Yeah.
But I also don't like to carry things around. So, like, it wouldn't matter if I loved that item. I don't want to carry it. I barely can carry a purse. I hate purses. So
Yeah, that's true.
we broke up, and Lisa and I went to J.P. Morgan's
Library. Because I read the book.
Yeah,
I read the Marie Benedict book.
exactly, and and the guys were somewhere else, and we took off on the subway.
They went
and,
to McSorley's, I think.
I don't know,
that
bar
time.
or something.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Beer and food are a main theme, but that's
Yeah,
okay. That's good.
it is, it
Provides
is.
a thread. All you need is a thread.
Yep. And our other two girlfriends went and had an outstanding time
Shopping.
and I think they went to a cafe or something like that. And
We were on the food tour. We had brunch at one of the places, and they had
yes,
drag
yes.
queen. The drag queens were
Bingo.
doing bingo
Drag
later
queen
in the
bingo.
afternoon, and they wanted to go back for that.
yeah.
So they did.
Hmm.
So that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah. But thinking about that, it was a huge victory for our friendship group when they started telling us what they wanted to do.
Yes. Well, yeah. Well, we might be a little
Well, we have ideas and we can put it
intimidating and
in
controlling
there
about
is
that, but yeah.
I mean, like, to the point where, like, that to me is some of the best, like, vacations that I don't have to plan.
Well,
Even though I love planning.
yes.
Like, there was the one where
but
you...
we've grown into that.
Yeah.
That is true.
That's true.
So, like, I mean, Lisa and I take on that role for multiple reasons. You can agree or disagree, but I think we take on that role, first of all, because we want to make sure what we want to do happens.
There is that.
And
There is
right?
that. Yeah.
Exactly. And we also like to be in control of our schedule and time and how it's used.
Well, I think we both, on that note, we both have experienced times where we've gone places and it's like, well, what are we going to do? Where are we going to go? How are we going to get there? Where are we
And
eating lunch?
people
What are
do
we doing for
not-
dinner? Oh my God, you waste so much time, so much
Yeah.
valuable time. As Americans, we only get, X amount of weeks.
Exactly.
At this point in my career, I'm lucky enough to get,
Yeah.
a good amount of vacation, but, I don't like to waste time.
No. No, and if you ever traveled with us, you would know that. I mean, we are.
Which is another reason why our sons are only destined to travel with each other, because that's how they know how to travel. But,
I know. Yeah, up at dawn. We can sleep when we're dead,
Mhm.
sort of travelers. And then we've broken Jay a couple times, her husband.
As we get older, it's harder to
Travel
just go,
like
go,
that.
go,
Yeah,
go,
yeah,
go,
yeah.
push, and see. I again have that FOMO. So, like, if I don't pack it in, I feel worse. Jay actually can get sick. Like, he just doesn't want to do anymore.
Yeah. Right.
But
But I think we're at the point.
But
where
now we're
friendship,
like-
there's grace.
go back to the hotel, hang out.
Yes.
Do you, Jay?
Exactly.
And the three of us took off and finished Istanbul.
We did finish Istanbul. My feet were never sore for it.
I know, but we saw Istanbul.
Yes,
Anything that was
we
open
did.
and not under construction.
Literally all of Istanbul on foot, I
Mhm.
think. So yeah.
Yeah. What else were we going to talk about with friendships? Well, and the other thing, like, one of the interesting topics is that I'll usually have a blowout because
It's not her just personally.
I'll usually have one blowout a trip because at some point I can't take anymore. I
Had
can't.
enough of Kim.
Well, there's that, but I've had enough stimulation. Actually, is what it comes down to for me. Like,
But we travel hard. I do think
Yeah.
that comes from us traveling hard.
Yeah, and sometimes I just get to the point of being overwhelmed. But we always move past it.
Well, I do think that's because, like, I mean, I can almost name, there's very rarely a vacation you and I have been on that there hasn't been a moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we both, like, give ourselves grace because we know each other and just, like, we just need some space and time.
Yeah. And we know that that's not going to ruin anything.
No, but that's the best part about it because you can travel with other people and then you may never see that person again because you're like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So it's almost a little bit sibling-ish. You're like, you can have a good argument.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and
it's not there's nothing we're holding.
and
It's not that bad. It's not that big of a
short. But I think that's the best thing is if you can have a disagreement with someone, or an argument, or just we've both had personal tantrums, for sure.
Yeah. But I mean, to me, the important part is looking back and just saying we moved on. Like,
I think that's the best part. I mean,
Yeah.
if you can have a full-out tantrum or a panic attack, which I had on our bourbon tour.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
and still function and move on. You know?
Yeah. I mean that was a little that was
It's
a little more
totally
serious
different thing,
because
but-
that was more thing, more along the lines of I didn't have a hysterical blowout when you puked all over me.
I haven't brought that up yet, but that's a whole other episode.
I'm not saying how or where, just
Information to
we
come.
handled that with grace.
Yes, we did.
That's a spoiler alert.
That
How's
was a spoiler alert to a whole other shitstorm.
Which could lead to a whole
Whole
other kind
other
of episode
conversation
for me.
So yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's part of I think age and traveling too.
Yeah.
I think that's an important aspect to remember is that, you know, we're not in 1996. What were we? 27. Yeah, 27. Probably
Not
just
26.
Just 20. Yeah, just shy when we went because we went in the end of
Yeah.
August.
Yeah.
But I mean, so like we're different. We're different people in this
Absolutely.
friendships. We've been through a lot together. We've seen a lot happen together, and now as you get into these wonderful ages, you know, this middle age, you know, I think that's also another important part of our travel is that feeling that we have to keep seeing things now.
Well, I think that's one of the things, like, you know, there are people that really don't have a desire to like make sure they consume as much of the world as they can, right? And there is an issue of, you know, like, can you afford to see as much of the world as you want to see? That's a reality.
Even yesterday at work,
It's a
I had
reality.
one of our maintenance supervisors. He was so excited because him and his family, he was leaving. He left work. His wife had the, you know, everything packed up. They were going to go camping in the middle of nowhere for a whole week, and he was just so happy because it was going to be him and his wife and his 3 boys. And he's like, you know, Lisa, you like to travel all over the world. He goes, I like to go to the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, and I like to bring out my 3-wheelers, and I invest in those kinds of toys. I invest in. That's my investment.
Yeah, and that's where, like, he's going to find friends that foster that, and
Yeah.
it's going to be great. And that's where they have a mutual bonding, and that's what I think is so great about, you know, like, we have a passion.
We have a passion for
that.
doing this.
And
Yeah.
even, like, we are going to Alaska in I don't know, maybe 18 months, 2 years. I can't even figure it out.
Summer.
Next summer.
Almost a
and,
year. Almost a little bit over a
Yeah.
year.
And so
Yeah,
it's a check mark for me. I don't know how you view it, but I'm trying to get to all 50 states. My husband has been to all 50 states because of travel. And so it's a silly thing, but it's a check mark. But
So you might not even know this, but my great aunt Ida, because who doesn't need an Ida in their life, right?
Absolutely.
So she was like more like my grandmother because my dad's mother had passed away before I was born, and then my dad's dad passed away when I was like 4 years old. So my aunt Ida was a lot more like my grandmother at that point, and she always had this love of Alaska.
Really?
Like if she could have gone anywhere in the
Well,
world,
think
she would
about
have gone to
it. It
Alaska.
became a state when she was probably in her 20s or something like
yeah,
that.
I don't even know. Like she was born in 1905, so we can backtrack into it.
No, more like 45.
Yeah.
'Cause
So
I think it became a state in the 50s. Something.
yeah. So and she always had like
Passion?
yeah, and the magazines were all over the house. Like there was a certain kind of conservationist magazine. Was all, like she just kept everything about Alaska. So it's always sort of been intriguing to me.
Right.
And then our friend Michelle, when her dad was stationed in Alaska, she lived there. So you know she's thinking about coming with us.
Oh, is she?
Yep.
I had
And
not
then
heard that.
And then Amy and Jim are thinking about coming.
Right.
They've already done the Denali and they've already been there, but they haven't done a cruise per se.
Yeah.
So
And we have sets of friends that aren't ready to fully travel yet. You know, I had a
Just like
time where
kids.
exactly. So I had a time where, you know, Lisa and Jay traveled much more than we did because they were empty nesters. You know, although our kids are in similar ages,
and I only have one.
Yeah, empty nesterness, is that a word? Came to us at slightly different intervals, and we still have a set of friends that still has kiddos in high school. So, you know, which also means they're still going to have kiddos in college for a little bit longer. And so it just changes your availability and, you know, ability to be able to have freedom to travel.
Yeah.
Because you're not traveling with 2. You would have to travel with 4, and 4 is more than 2. It sounds silly, but 4 is more than 2, but that's a significant price difference.
I mean, the airfares now.
Oh my
and,
God,
you
it's
know,
crazy.
We could do a whole thing of traveling with kids, I think.
I think we should at some point. But that's that whole thing, like with friendship, we really tried. We always traveled just together because we couldn't fit any more people in the car. That's really the bigger thing. You know?
We'll put some pictures out there of us in cars.
Trapped in cars.
Especially in Europe.
Yeah. So, but we've
My God, Jay's a master packer.
I know. So we do we've recently started to pick vacations where if a friend wants to join in, it's an easy thing to do it. cruises being one of them. Come join us. All you got to do is make a phone call, you know?
Yep.
And
I mean, another constraint too is timing, because for the longest time, all of our kids were in sports, and so there was only
aggressive
certain
sports,
windows of time. And then as teachers, you know, like you have
really
the summer,
constrained.
you know, and then being on the lake, you know, you try not to want to leave. I mean, people come here for their vacation, so why would we go away? But sometimes that's just the timing that we have. So
it is. But I do like going back to like that unifying theme of what we're talking about is it's, you know, all of our travels, especially yours and mine, really circle around enjoying being with each other.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, there's probably not a lot of people where you could be like, I spent 7 days with this person and we still are driving home and have conversations to talk about.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We don't sit in silence.
No, that's true.
I don't know what the hell we talk about sometimes.
Well, here we are.
I know,
how long
right?
has this been going on?
Exactly. But that's just the thing. Like, there's not a lot of people where you can exist in the same space.
You know what picture I'm thinking of we have to put on to accompany this video?
I don't know what.
The one in
Montserrat?
Yeah.
It is my favorite vacation picture ever. No, I like one of my daughter, but
yeah.
there are two of my daughter I really love.
Mm-hmm.
I think you took both of them.
No, I did take both of them. No, you took the one. I just loved it, so I usurped it. The one with glasses in Barcelona?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I
then
thought
the
that
one
was
in
you.
Mexico?
That was totally you.
Yeah.
I lost my theme. I squirreled.
Montserrat.
Oh, Montserrat. It actually inspired us, though.
So here that we're
It
going
motivated us
Yeah,
as
Montserrat in which is north of Barcelona.
Yeah.
It was a day trip out of Barcelona.
So you leave Barcelona, you go up the mountain.
And it was, you know, like you had to have a bus. It's not a walking thing, and like I mean, you could probably driven
How
yourself.
did we get up there?
Well, yeah, there was a funicular involved at some point, but not
Yeah.
at this point. At this point, we're still at the drop off, where it was flat
Moment of our travel life.
and there was a bus load of aged women that were being loaded off in their wheelchairs, and they were all touring together, and they were having a great time, but the group or the handler or whatever lined them all up
Because they were being
in
unloaded
wheelchairs
from the bus.
Yes, but I mean, like, and they couldn't. I mean, like, you know, like when you get off a bus and you go and you mill around and you wait for your travel guide to come, but these people were in wheelchairs, and so they were going for probably their pilgrimage to
I
that.
think they were probably going
cathedral.
for a blessing for
Yeah.
health. We're going to say it was this really honorable thing.
But there's a lineup of ladies in wheelchairs, and they're just
they
all
have to be 85.
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, at least at the lowest end.
Yeah.
And we just
could
saw our
not.
future.
So
in
we
the
have
line.
a selfie of us, of giant faces of us, and a line of little old adorable women in wheelchairs on their pilgrimage.
May that happen.
May
that be
happen.
us at 85.
Exactly, without a doubt. So
I just want some hot guy pushing me around. That would be fun
I
at
think
85.
we can hire anybody,
Well, this is true.
right?
We still don't have our tagline. We don't have our sign out. We don't have
I
our...
know, but I'm thinking go explore. I like it.
Go explore.
There's a thing here. Yeah, go explore. I don't know.
explore.
Go explore. I need to go out. Whoa! We have some wind on the lake right now.
Yeah.
But we want to encourage you to go out.
Get out.